Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Mason and today we're diving into a tool which you might be very familiar with, definitely would have heard about. And one of the reasons for it is because it's absolutely essential for students, professionals, pretty much anyone that's looking to manage their data effectively. And the tool that I'm talking about is of course Microsoft Excel. So whether you're a complete beginner or whether you just need a bit of a refresher into what Excel is, this video is for you. Okay, so Excel is much more than just a spreadsheet application. It goes way beyond just your basic functions. It's a powerful tool that can really be used in a multitude of ways for data analysis as well as visualization and so much more. But obviously the point of this video is to really start looking at the basics. So that's what we're going to be looking at for now, and over the course of this video series and this training course, we'll definitely get into the more advanced aspects of Excel. So if you are new to the channel, please make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well as the bell icon so that you are notified every time I do upload a new video. I do this quite regularly, multiple times a week, and if you would like to be part of all of this and receive content from my channel completely free of charge, then please by all means make sure that you are subscribed. Okay, well, back to the video. So when you open Microsoft Excel for the first time, you'll be greeted with a blank workbook just like this one that I have in front of me. Okay, and this blank workbook, you can think of this as a notebook or just a document which has a number of different sheets. So you see here you have the first sheet, which is named by default sheet number 1. But you can also add additional sheets to this when you are dealing with larger data files or data sets. So to do that, that's pretty straightforward and easy. You just click on the plus button here, and as you can see, the description for this says new sheet, and all you need to really do is just to click on that and you'd add a new sheet. Okay, and then you can add a third one, fourth one, and so on. So that's adding sheets. That's pretty straightforward. It's not really difficult to understand. These sheets, to navigate on each or between each of them, all you really got to do is just click on each one as I'm doing over here, and you'd move in between your sheets that way. To rename your sheets, because obviously you'd want to be more specific at work with regards to what your document is dealing with. So you can right click on the sheet and you have a multitude of options that are available to you over here, right? So you can delete the sheets, for example, if you don't need it. You can rename it. So if you want to rename it to something else, maybe just call it A, it's as simple as that, right? If you want to delete the sheet, for example, you just right click again and click on delete. Okay, that's not difficult to do. You can protect your sheets as well with a password. You can move or copy your sheets, but those are a bit more advanced aspects which we get into later. This is more to get you into the beginning or just an introduction into what Excel is. But the basic idea is that one workbook can have multiple worksheets, and these worksheets are basically the canvas that you will have, where you would actually have all of your data and whatever work it is that you are going to be analyzing and that you're going to be busy with. So, looking at the worksheet itself, right, you would notice that there are a number of rows and columns, right? So the rows are going across and they're running horizontally, and they are numbered on the side. Row 1, so you can see it's running horizontally, and they're numbered on the side. So this is row 1, row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, and so forth, right? Then in addition to the rows, we also have the columns, and the columns run vertically and are labeled with letters. So this is column A, column B, column C, column D, column E. Okay, you get the idea on this. Okay. So as I'm clicking all over this worksheet, you notice that, this block sort of gets highlighted, this intersection between the work, or between the row and the column, right? And this is what we call a cell. Okay, and your cell is where you would start entering your data. So for example, let's click on, a random cell over here, and we can just, type just a random bunch of letters over there, right? This is where your data would come in essence, right? It's not just alphabets or text. You can also have numbers, for example, right? So this is where your inputs would come in. This is where the data that you want to analyze would come in, and this intersection, so to speak, of where you're putting it, or where you're inputting your data, is what is referred to as a cell. Now, the cells also have what are called cell references. So your cell references, let's click on a cell over here. Right now, what is the location of the cell? Or what is the cell reference of the cell? What do we mean by that? In a nutshell, this is pretty much just referring to the point in the worksheet where the cell is actually located, right? So if we look at this cell over here, the cell reference for this would be cell D7, right? So you start with the column. Which column is it? It's column D. And which row? Row number 7. And that's how we have our cell reference. If I clicked on this cell, the reference for the cell will be I3. Okay. If I clicked on this one, the cell reference would be F6. So I think you guys get the idea on that. You'd also have noticed while I was doing all of that that the cell references pop up in the name box as well, so that you can see exactly which cell you are working with and where it's actually located. So this helps so that you don't get confused when you have large data sets or where cells or rows may be hidden, and you want to make sure that you are looking at the correct cell. So what do I mean when I say cells and rows that can be hidden, right? So if we look at our cell over here, or rather our row, right? We're in row B or column B. And if we right click on column B, you'll see that we have a bunch of options as well. Okay, so we can format these cells, we can choose the column width that we'd like the cells to be, if we want to resize them so we can get to a specific width on this. You can hide the column as well. So for example, if I do that, you can see the column is hidden. And then if I right click again, over here, and I click on unhide, it's not going to unhide A because A is already there. But if I do that, then you can see that there is something. So there will be some sort of indication that the column is not there, or that it's hidden, right? So it's something to be very mindful of whenever you are dealing with an Excel workbook or worksheet. And the rows, the same thing applies to them as well. Okay, so what applies to your columns applies to your rows. It's not vastly different, and you can also resize them like this. Okay, very simple, very easy, not complicated, not easy, not difficult to understand. All of that. Okay, so that's the basic in terms of just getting to your workbook. Now, on the top side of this, you notice that there are a number of icons as well, right? And we're going to work through these so that you can get a general understanding of how these relates to your workbook and how you can best navigate through your workbook in proper detail. Okay, so moving on from your rows and your columns, right? Let me just undo this quickly. Rather than just do that, so I've got column A, B, and C. So up here we have what is referred to as the ribbon. Okay, and each of these things that you can click on the ribbon is referred to as a tab. Okay, so this top part here is referred to as a ribbon, and the ribbon's got various tabs. As you can see, underneath each tab there will be certain other functions as well, or sub-functions that you can do within that particular tab. So looking at the home tab, just as an example, let's say we have a text. Okay, let's say we have the letter A, and if you want to make this bold on the home tab, we could click on the bold icon and it would be bold. If you wanted it to be in italics, then we could just click on the italics tab. Now, not too dissimilar to what you will find in Microsoft Word. So if you understand the principles in Word, you'll understand the principles here as well. Okay. You can also align the text to different locations within the cell by using the alignment function within your tab. And you'd notice that there are other formatting and styles that are applicable to the data that you've inputted. So we're not going to go through all of this in absolute detail right now. Those will be for later videos where we actually really work through them. But the general idea is that you get familiar with the concept behind what it is you need to be, how you can be using your tabs and the ribbon together with the functions that they give you. So if you look at the Insert tab, for example, this would be useful where we wanted to obviously insert certain items such as a table, but also if we wanted to insert images or create a chart, then the functions for that would fall under here. For drawing as well, it just depends on the function or the version of Excel. And with certain laptops you may be able to do this or not. So if you have a touch screen, you'd be able to do that with your laptop. Page layouts would obviously affect your themes and your page setup, as well as giving you further options with your sheets, and then your formula tab, on the ribbon, which is quite a popular one, and which will be covered in a lot more detail in later videos. But the formulas tab is where the real magic pretty much happens, and this is where you can access Excel's built-in formulas to perform calculations, analyze data, and do so much more. Okay, so it's really a tab that you'd be very familiar with if you've worked on Excel before. And if you haven't worked on Excel before, then you would end up getting quite familiar with this one, because it is pretty much the crux of what Excel is all about. But Excel is not just about formulas and functions, right? If you have large sets of data, these can be analyzed in the data tab and really worked through in proper detail, reorganized, restructured, sorted out, filtered. You can even import data from other sources and use Excel to visualize that data and sort it and organize it. So you can see that Excel definitely is not just a spreadsheet tool. It's definitely got a lot more to it than just that. It's also useful for coding, and this will be under your developer tab, which we will do in later sections as well. But these are absolutely wonderful when it comes to things like your productivity and really getting the most out of Excel. Okay, but
all of that will be covered in later videos. The crux of this video was to give you an introduction into Excel. What is Excel about? What are the the workbook's about, understanding what the workbook actually is and getting more familiar with it so that you are in a position to actually navigate around this workbook before you actually get to the advanced aspects. So that's a wrap for this video and for an introduction to a blank workbook and the Excel ribbon. As you can see, Excel is equipped with a lot of powerful tools that can help you manage and visualize your data effectively. So in our upcoming videos, we will dive deeper into each of these features. So make sure that you've subscribed to the channel and you've hit the notification bell to stay updated. And if you have any questions or any specific features that you would like to cover, please leave a comment in the comment sections below and I will respond to it as soon as I can. Okay, but that's all for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.